this summer's training period, at one with the compassionate mind of the abbot, we offer the position of Shuso to Shindo, mind ground, Kevin Souza.
Only like this. With the help of the Great Assembly, I will do my very best to fulfill this position with dignity and compassion. Roshi, I accept this position with deep gratitude. Please guide me to be a wise Shuso.
Gives me a great honor to read from the Shobogenzo, Dogen's renowned writing. First, I must say, even on this mountain, there are other aspects that are helping us, aiding us in carrying the way. It's a Tibetan belief that the mist, when it covers the mountain, it protects, it makes the veil of protection for ceremonies like this to occur. Believe it or not, it's in touch with the heavens and the devas. It's a dimension that's beyond ourselves. Spiritualism is not measured by how many. One thing we should do is not look at other people's practices, just ourselves. And the other thing is that we do not practice to attain enlightenment. Practice itself is enlightenment. You have to try to remember these important things. They are not just pointers, but it is reality. So it really gives me great pleasure to read from chapter 65 of Shobogenzo, Ango. Ango, An means peace. Not just the peace that you see on Christmas cards, but a peace that is beyond belief. That you want everyone, you want to share with everyone. It's more than anyone could say how deep and profound that peace is. So Ang is a roof with somebody underneath the roof, the kanji. And that somebody, because he or she has a roof over its head, is very happy. It has a dwelling place. So Ang means peace and Go means dwelling. So this Ango started with Buddha when he said that although all the talks, the Dharma talks he gave, he says actually the people don't really believe or respect in his words. So he said, let's start an Ango period. And this was like, I think 2000, maybe 2000, I'm not sure, but something like over 2,500 years ago. So he began the first Ango. It was a 90-day retreat. And he left everybody and went into his room and sat. And he said something about, if he told Ananda, who was his attendant, if people ask about me or what I have to say, tell them there is nothing that was created, nor anything that was destroyed. These were his words. And just thinking about back on our own history here, we've been here nearly 50 years. And I asked Shinko, when did we start Ango? And I think it may be, well, I think at least 40 years ago, we had 2 Angos a year, and they were not 90 days, which is the traditional, but 30 days. So regardless how many or how less, the point of it really doesn't matter. So we've sat probably nearly 80 Angos. And for Buddha, he sat many also, and he never missed one. I don't know how I can express this to everybody, that Ango is a very important, not just the ceremony, but the practice itself. You have the time and the space to practice without disturbance, without obstacles. And this is supported by your family, the gods, the goddesses, the devas, the mountain, the sky, heaven, everything. And we pray that we will be protected during, we're asking them for this protection and this possibility in respect to them. So there's a poem that Tendo Nyojo said, which is quite interesting. He said when Dogen was there, in Ango, we are forming a container of true practice and making a cave in emptiness. Complete these 2 and you'll have a lacquer bucket. This was Tendo's Myojo's message to us. We were forming a container. Myojo always talks about the container. You have to have the container. And making a cave or your dwelling in emptiness. And then combining the 2, you'll have a lacquer bucket. And in those days, a lacquer bucket was the most important thing that carried your water. There were no pipes. And in the last Ango, Anya Mills from Poland, she read this: with this and that, I tried to keep the bucket together. And then the bottom fell out. Where water doesn't collect, the moon does not dwell. This was her poem. No water, no moon. She was one of the first of our great nuns to say this, and because she realized it. That's why she said it. And that was like 13th century. We share this today. Okay, so this introduces, and the chapter is maybe a little bit too long to read, but I'll just read parts of it. And Dogen says, a quick sentence: remember, we must remember, no weeds are found originally. There are no weeds to pull in the garden. There are no weeds found originally. Do not limit yourself to this 30-day practice period. Therefore, to participate in the summer training period is to meet and see all the Buddhas and ancestors. The amount of time in one summer training period is immense, larger than 1, 10, or even 100 unlimited kalpas. Time functions within unlimited time. The 90-day training period also functions within unlimited time, and therefore, someone who practices it during a 90-day training period sees Buddha surely surpasses unlimited time. And then mentioned again, the world honored one said as he went into meditation, all things are without creation and without destruction. No creation, no destruction, opposites. And there's one of Buddha's first disciples, and I can hardly pronounce his name because he was one of the 5 monks that met Buddha, and Buddha's first sermon to them. And his name is Undinya. And when Buddha finished, before Buddha finished his sermon, he was enlightened. I think this is what makes Zen so profound. Before the 90-day practice period started, he was enlightened. We have a saying, before you sit on your seat, you have realized yourself. It's not after, it's before. Just the opposite of what we think. Isn't that great? And you know, there's signboards posted all over there's like hundreds of monks and nuns running around, and signboards are posted all around. Banners are waving, chants. You know, it's a platform that takes you up high in the sky. And under his name comes like people's positions. He's the first, he holds Aka Undinya holds the first position. There's nothing like tradition. You know, maybe I think I tried to read it because I can see the notes in the book, but I was afraid to say too much about it because I was afraid I didn't understand what they were saying. Now that I'm not sure I still understand what they're saying, but I say it anyway. Okay, this ceremony has been highest form of the Buddha Dharma, handed down from the immemorial past. It is the most significant event of the Buddhas and ancestors. Non-believers or demons cannot obstruct it. All true descendants of the Buddhas and ancestors in the 3 countries, now it's 4, India, China, Japan, America, have participated in this ceremony. Non-believers have never learned about such a ceremony because the ceremony is the main work of the Buddhas and ancestors. The summer training period itself contains everything from the attainment of the way in the morning to entering nirvana in the evening. Monks and nuns of the 5 schools of India may disagree, but all have undergone a 90-day training period, share the same practice and enlightenment. training is not undertaken in order to become enlightened. Training itself is practice enlightenment, beyond enlightenment. Shakyamuni Buddha, the world honored one of the great enlightenment, had practice and enlightenment in every summer training period throughout his entire life, without missing one. Here, we must know that the practice and enlightenment of Shakyamuni Buddha, enlightenment, is beyond enlightenment. I end with this story that was always perplexing to me, but I have a little understanding of it now. Once the world honored one held a 90-day training period. And on the final day, when forgiveness is asked by all, the Bodhisattva Manjusri came in to join the training session. At that time, Mahakasho asked him, "Where did you spend the training period this summer?" Manjusri replied, "This summer, I practiced in 3 places. 1 month in a palace, 1 month in a nursery, and 1 month in a brothel." Mahakashva was about to strike the bhyaksu to sell the monks and nuns together and have Manjusri expelled, when suddenly innumerable stupas and temples appeared out of nowhere. In each of the buildings, both Manjusri and Mahakashva could be seen, with Mahakashva poised just about ready to strike Vyaksu. Then Shakyamuni said to Mahakashva, "Which Manjusri are you going to expel?" There were so many all over. Mahakashva was unable to answer. And this is Zen Master's Ango comment. Interpreting a story like this, if the bell is not struck, there is no sound. If the drum is not hit, we hear nothing. Mahakashva got the point that Manjusri actualized unlimited zazen. Both of them reveal their Buddhist insight, but one thing is lacking. That is, when the old sage Shakyamuni asked, "Which one are you going to expel?" he should have struck the Vyaksu himself and said, "Look, is there anyone here who can kill both Mahakashva and Manjusri?" Beautiful story, huh? Okay, Ango, the Chinese Zen master, he made, this was so profound of a story, he made this poem. "A great elephant cannot walk on a rabbit's path. How can swallows or sparrows know anything of a great swan? Both monks observe the rules like a stonecutter at work, or an archer taking aim and shattering his target. This world of relativity is Manjusri." This world of relativity is Manjusri. It is Mahakashva. Both face Buddha. There is no gap between them. Why should Manjusri be expelled when the Vyaksu is struck? The golden Buddha, Mahakashva, drops off all hindrances. Therefore, that is why Shakyamuni's training period in one place is the same as Manjusri practice in 3 places. If there is no training period, there are no Buddhas and ancestors. All descendants of the Buddha and ancestors must practice in the summer training period. All the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are ancestors made with clay, wood, gold, or the 7 precious jewels are present in the 3-month training period. During that training period, we live within the 3 treasures of the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. It is not our justification and method of teaching. It is our justification and method of teaching. All who wish to be the true students of the Buddhas and ancestors surely practice the summer training period. This was recorded by Jiyun, one of Dogen's disciples. Thank you.
Roshi, thank you for that, for the
Yeah, thank
opening
you.
words
Yeah.
this morning. Welcome everybody to Sonoma Mountain Zen Center on this beautiful summer morning. I'd like to welcome everybody to our first day of Ango. It's really so great to be back here practicing on the mountain with everybody here in the Zendo. As I was walking up the path this morning for morning Zazen, it started to rain pretty heavily on us and continued to rain.
That's a good sign.
It's a great sign. It continued to rain through service until the very end. And how appropriate on the first day of Ango that we are blessed with rain to symbolize a calmness, growth, and rebirth. My name is Kevin Shindo Souza, for those that do not know me, and I have the honor of being Shuso for this practice period. I'd like to thank Roshi for the opportunity to be here and having the confidence in me to fulfill this important role. Confidence that oftentimes I have to struggle to find myself. My intentions for this practice period are to encourage you to renew and re-energize your practice. I've been practicing here at Sonoma Mountain under Roshi since 2008. I was given the Dharma name Shindo, which means mind ground. I started on my Zen path in 2007, right around the time that my son was born. I was living in Phoenix, Arizona, and it was at a time in my life where I needed to be completely present, really start paying attention to how my actions were impacting others and those I loved. In 2008, I moved to Carson City to be closer to my son. From there, I was introduced to Sonoma Mountain Zen Center by my friend Richard, who's a student of Roshi's. I was amazed at how beautiful it was here and how authentic and intimate the practice is. After having Dokusan with Roshi, I knew that I had found a new home to practice. I'm not sure how my life would have turned out if I had not found this practice and this sangha. And truthfully, I don't think I even want to know. It has been that important to me. Zazen practice has had a tremendous impact on my life. From the ways I handle ups and downs of everyday life to the most subtle interactions with those I interact with on a daily basis, and how I respond when things don't go my way. Before I go on though, there are people in my life that I have to acknowledge first for allowing me to be able to take the time to be here this month with all of you. First and foremost, my 14-year-old son, Kevin Anthony, and my wife, Kate. They're both making great sacrifices in order for me to be here this month. Also, my son's mother, Charity, who has agreed to take on additional parenting duties as we share custody of our son. And third, my co-workers who I have asked to step in and help take on additional responsibilities while I'm away for the month. And for all of these people, I am very grateful. This practice period is a great opportunity to realign and renew our practice. We do this by committing to dedicate extra time to Zazen and studying the Dharma wholeheartedly. We emphasize that no matter where you are, online or here on the mountain, that we are all practicing the way together as one body and one mind. You should have received an email from the office with an Ango commitment form. If you haven't already, please take the time to fill it out and return it to the office with what you can commit to this month to deepen your practice. If you normally sit once a day, try sitting twice a day or 3 times. If you normally only sit once a week, try increasing that to 2 to 3. Do what you can with what makes sense with your life. We have opportunities to volunteer, to sit with us here on the mountain, on the Zendo platform, on the Gaitan. Think about what makes sense and do what you can do to allow more time to your practice and commit to it. There are 5 books on the recommended reading list that I have chosen that have inspired and encouraged my practice over the years that I encourage you to read during this time as well. We do ask that if you plan on visiting us here at the Zen Center, that you are vaccinated and that you contact the office prior to arriving. I remember clearly the day that I was asked to be Shuso back in February. I had just parked with my son and we were getting ready to shoot some hoops. And for some reason, I checked my email. In it was a note asking if I would be willing and able to be Shuso this summer. I immediately went pale and had a sinking feeling in my stomach. My son immediately asked me what was wrong, and I responded that I had just received a very important email. I knew that in order to commit as Shuso, it would take a great sacrifice from a lot of people in my life. I also knew that I was going to do whatever I could to make it possible. This past year has been very challenging for all of us dealing with the pandemic. Social distancing, masking up, a lot of people facing unemployment or worse, lost loved ones due to COVID-19. I was really grateful for my Zen practice during these times. Grateful for that foundation to fall back on. And it was a perfect opportunity to just sit. Thankful to Sonoma Mountain Zen Center for creating this online container for all of us to sit together. It was truly important for me to have set time to sit with everybody online. Saying good morning or good night to everyone on Zoom was a small but very important part of my day. I really had to keep my head and stay awake for my family during this time. The first month or so was really the worst for me. It was constant panic or worrying whether we would be able to get groceries, sanitizer, hand soap, even toilet paper. All of these things that we take for granted became a daily struggle just to acquire. Many days glued to CNN, watching cases and the death tolls rise was exhausting and stressful. I empathize with those that were alone during this time, that were isolated from loved ones. I use this as an opportunity to reset. My life had been so busy up to that point that the downtime was a blessing in disguise for me, and I took it as an opportunity to get healthy. Walking or running daily, hiking, reading, and Zazen practice were my daily activities. The focus on my Zen practice included studying the Mountains and Rivers Sutra, specifically the translation Ango by Shohaku Okumura. I find this piece to be some of Dogen's most beautiful work. In researching the origins of this writing, I came across what I chose as this summer's Ango theme, which was a source of inspiration for Dogen when he wrote the Mountains and Rivers Sutra. The theme for this summer's Ango is as follows. Sudong Po, a Sung poet, was awakened by the sounds of the stream in Lushan one night after hearing his Zen teacher, Chang Sung, expound the discourse of insentient beings on the Dharma. He immediately composed the following poem. The sounds of the valley streams are his long, broad tongue. The sights of the mountains are his pure body. 84,000 verses are heard throughout the night. How can I relate to others what they say? The sounds of the valley streams are his long, broad tongue. The sights of the mountains are his pure body. 84,000 verses are heard throughout the night. How can I relate to others what they say? I ask that we all sit with this poem, this practice period, and let the words of Sudong Po not hit us all at once like rain in a thunderstorm, but as Dogen Zenji says, like walking through thick fog for a long time. Even though you don't realize your clothing is wet, it is wet and it will penetrate you to your underwear. This is true practice. I'd also like to share some passages from Roshi's book, No Beginning, No End, chapter 12, Confidence in Your Original Nature, where he speaks to Ango practice. Every year, our Zen Center offers a special practice period known as Ango, which means peaceful dwelling. This refers to a peace within each person that is so pervasive and deep that it is inconceivable. Ango is part of the annual training cycle, traditional at Zen temples and communities. At our temple, we offer Ango during the winter and summer sessions. We follow a very rigorous schedule during this time. We're up at 4 o'clock before dawn, spend the entire day in practice, either bowing, sitting, working, studying, or eating in formal style, and then go to bed after the pillow bell. When you're on this kind of schedule, something happens to you, something substantial and important. You stop thinking of the hours of the day as your time, and you surrender to the relentlessness of the schedule. Remember, it is said that the schedule alone is your first teacher when you enter a practice place. Since the schedule is just as relentless as your delusions, we also need energy to survive. This is one of the ways Zen helps you to transfer your spiritual practice, the energy you would ordinarily give to those delusions. In the end, your delusions are seen through. Process is very simple. Instead of focusing on your delusions, you focus on the practice, which is to be aware of your original mind. Instead of abusing yourself with mind games, like listening to a broken record over and over again, the schedule helps you to change your orientation. You stop listening to that record and shift to something positive and beneficial that helps not only you, but others as well. During the Ango repetition, lack of distraction and attention of practice help us to shed the many layers that obscure our original nature. Since we follow the same schedule every day, everything is so structured, things that were hidden beneath the surface begin to emerge. It's a bit like being under a microscope. You begin to see a wonderful side of yourself that has always been there, And often you will see your very dark side as well. But because the practice period creates an opportunity for it to surface, you can be with it. Because you can see your dark side and be with it, you can also let it go. It's like a general house cleaning. That's one of the wonderful gifts of Ango. Ango is a period of peaceful dwelling because it has this kind of rootedness, like Roshi was saying. It creates a wondrous feeling of peacefulness and dignity. You know that this is the only place you want to be right now. You're not thinking about what you're going to have for lunch or what you're going to do after lunch, which is really just playing the same old broken record, the same abusive tapes. When Dogen Zenji wrote in the Genjo Koan that each of us is fully equipped, that no creature ever falls short of its own completion, that wherever it stands, it does not fail to cover the ground, he was expressing the Dharma principle that we are already full of life and endowed with this life that fills us. Included in this life is everything we need, right here and right now. We are already rooted in this great peace or repose that we've been discussing. This is our original nature, our Buddha nature, beyond any circumstances or conditions that may arise. Having confidence in your original nature is at the heart of what Suzuki Roshi called traditional Zen spirit. In traditional Zen spirit, we don't emphasize the stages in meditation practice or anything we think we've gained. We emphasize having strong confidence in our original nature. That's the spirit of Zen, and this confidence unfolds through the cultivation of practice. Peter Levitt, a poet from Salt Spring Island, British Columbia, translator of Dogen and editor of Kwong-roshi's book, No Beginning, No End, once said, "You can sum up all of Dogen's teaching by understanding that all he is saying is come closer." This really resonates with me. And for this practice period, I ask all of you to come closer. Thank you. the weather and environment have already been so supportive and life-bringing. I hope you continue to have good health and live a long, long life. I am honored to be your student, Roshi, and honored to be a part of this sangha.
We have given the position of Shuso to Shindo, mind ground, Kevin Souza.
Just like this.